sugar and spice and everything nice. I hope this video is also everything nice. Hi, it's Riikka Kovasin here, and this time I'm making an altered book cover, kind of a canvas type project. As you guessed by now, I'm using an old book cover as my base. It has this lovely kind of mulled wine red color, which immediately made me think about Christmas. And I wanted to use that as my inspiration. It also had these beautiful golden motifs around the edge and also in the center. And I wanted to highlight that and chose this kind of a wreath styled die cut from AB Studio, and I'm turning it golden to match the design the cover already has. I'm using golden embossing powder and doing a couple of layers to get the kind of layer more raised, a little bit dimensional. I'm then using an Ideology little die cut to add a little vintage photo to my project. I'm using just some cardboard to raise the photo a little bit from this metal cup I have. It's actually for handle, but I thought that it would act nicely as a little frame for the photo. So I'm just building a little pedestal for the photo. It doesn't get that much shadowy then because it's a little bit raised. I then make the composition using various items. You already saw me attach this old spoon in place, and I'm using a really thick gel medium as my adhesive when attaching these elements to the project. I actually chose the elements by just adding different things to my table, and then I make the composition as I go, because there's first this kind of a horizontal element of the spoon, then I'm bringing in some circular elements of the dried oranges and that kind of compass thing. Then there's a cinnamon stick, some jingle bells, these crocheted buttons, and some candy canes coming in later, as well as flowers. So they were all these kind of sweet things that either by their color or their shape or kind of scent made me think about Christmas. So even these flowers made me think about this sweet holiday spirit and kind of a vintagey touch. So I'm just, as you can see, quite quickly building the composition, making this kind of a cluster around the little spoon. I'm then letting the project dry for a while before adding anything else in there because the gel medium needs some drying time. Here the project is now a little bit dried. I've added some knots in there and adding these two golden snowflake shaped trinkets in, and then I'm using Glossy Accents to add kind of a layer or a dome on top of the vintage photo. And after that I leave the project air dry for a day, because then the Glossy Accents will have enough time to really dry, clear, and also the composition is now solid. Everything will stay, even though I'm adding a colorant on top. Usually I would this stage add gesso and then another colorant on top, but this time I already matched the colors so that they will go nicely together already. So I'm just adding some snow on top. For that I'm using the heavy gesso, but make it a little bit more fluid by using white acrylic. That also makes the gesso a little bit more brighter white, because the gesso I have has this a little bit of warm tone. Even though for our vintage project that's okay, but I still wanted this more snowy, fresh, kind of glistening feel to it. To have it more textured, I'm adding these teeny tiny glass beads into the mix, so it looks more like just snow with different textures. I'm applying it to the project with a brush, trying to keep in mind where the snow would land. So even though I'm adding it a little bit here and there, I'm trying to get the most of the stuff to the top of things, like it would gather when snowing. To heighten that snowy effect, I then added some splashes. Using the same mixture, just water it down a bit so I can get it out of my brush, and then add the glisten to the mix before letting the project dry. For the glisten, I used just this crystals or glitter, and then afterwards, when the mediums have dried, I tip the excess off. Here's the photos of the finished project and some detail shots. And as always, this is the time for me to say thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you within a week. Thanks, bye!